All right, Seema Modi, thank you very much. Well, Petra Nemcova experienced the natural disaster firsthand, the tsunami of 2004. That tragedy led her to co-found a nonprofit that became All Hands and Hearts Smart Response, an organization that rebuilds safe schools in areas impacted by natural disasters. We're joined by Petra and Howard Sherman, the CEO of Good 360, an organization that partners with the public sector to assist in recovery by really matching companies that, and if I get this wrong, Howard, let me know, that has excess goods with charities that need those goods. Petra on the services side. So this is really, in some ways, almost like a vertical integration on the charitable side, correct?
It is. It is. What Good 360 does is we work with 400 major corporations that donate and provide critically needed goods to people in critical need and organizations that need those goods as well. And what All Hands and Hearts does is they provide workforce that actually utilize those goods in the market.
And this is not Petra. I mean, you and I have spoken before. You're not just the face of this. You're the co-founder of this. I mean, this means a lot to you. And what you have found from a data perspective is that Florence is in the media every day now, and hurricanes and tornadoes and everything are in the media for a couple weeks, then they kind of go away. The money and reaction of recovery is very similar. It's short term. How do we make it longer term?
You're 100% right, Brian. I've been in this space for the last 13 years, and disaster after disaster, the same pattern happens. The focus on first response, and when first responders leave, the support leaves as well. Actually, in the first 2 months, 70% of the funding is raised, and only 5% goes to rebuilding. Can you imagine? There's a humongous gap. So we really need to think, when disasters happen, long-term resilient response.
Where does the rest go? There's 95% of the money. Then where does it end up?
You know, there's a big gap in terms of resources, dollars for these events that are getting bigger and more frequent and changing. So that money's going to the early stages of response and early recovery. But the reality is that an event like Florence or an event like Harvey, there's a 5-year recovery period. And so in years 3, 4, and 5, there's so much activity that's still happening, and there's so much need. And unfortunately, it's abandoned. And that's the gap we're trying to close.
Where do we stand in the Caribbean in particular? Irma, Maria. I know your charity's been deeply involved there.
Yes. Well, it's really bad. As Howard said, it takes on average 5 years for the communities to recover, and Puerto Rico is extremely bad. St. Thomas, St. John, Dominica. Most people don't know even that Dominica has been hit very badly. So why we are here today with Howard, we have partnered with Good 360 and Global Citizen to create Resilient Response initiative and asking corporations to join us and pledge that next time when there's a natural disaster, they will take long-term resilient response, which what will create, it will get families back on their legs much faster, and it will create resiliency. That means that the families will be safe from next natural disaster. Because if you focus only on first response, you can never build resilience and build in a disaster-proof way. So that's why there are corporations play a crucial role right after natural disasters because they are very active in helping. And we are asking them to do even smarter decisions by thinking long-term and joining us in the pledge for resilient response. And you can go to resilientresponse.org and find out all about it.
The easiest thing, Howard, to do is give away money. The hardest thing to do is give away money in a smart way. Corporations, all these names on these boards around us, they want to help. And their philanthropy departments give money, but then how do they stay involved in that process? You know, it's funny, we look at capital. We're in the capital of capitalism. You want to have return on investment, ROI. Absolutely. How do we get a better ROI out of our charitable donation?
Well, I think, Brian, that's exactly how we have to think about it. I mean, when an event happens, there's this incredible outpouring of good intention giving. You know, the objective here is how do we take good intention giving and turn it into long-term impactful giving? And so we work with major corporations every day, and many companies are already leading in this. And you'll observe that companies, when they make their announcements about supporting an event, will talk about how many dollars or products they're willing to donate in the short term, and also how many dollars they're willing to donate and preserve for the longer-term recovery. But we are at the very beginning of that. And we need more companies to align with that.
But we have already had amazing support from Airbnb, joining the pledge, to me, UPS, CVS. So it's already happening, but we are really hoping that more corporations take. It's not about raising more money. It's not about giving more money, but giving the money smartly.
Petra Nemcova, All Hands and Hearts, Smart Response. Howard Sherman, good 360. Vertical integration, especially, by the way, in a time of need after Florence as well. This kind of thinking, this kind of doing, very timely. And we